Productivity Arata. If you need to learn how to say no at work and say no to your boss, then this video is for you. In your professional career, you will often come across situations where heavy workload and high demand can overwhelm you and compromise the quality of your work. In these cases, it is important that you learn to say no in your professional context. Everyone needs to say no at work. And that goes for the trainee and also for the CEO, but there is the right way and the right time for that if you want to keep a professional attitude. If you haven't mastered this skill yet, you may be scared and afraid to say no, since you may convey the wrong idea that you don't want to work as a team. What you will learn here is exactly the opposite. Because you know how to work as a team, you will present your no the right way with professionalism. Think before you answer. In a professional environment, the word no will help you avoid making empty promises. You will always need to consider the context of the other activities on your to-do list, and that level of organization is required if you don't want to get flustered. Don't say yes to requests if that means that you're going to make your colleagues feel frustrated later because you can't keep your word. A professional attitude means that you will first examine what is being asked, you will think about it, and then you will give a more conscious and realistic answer. In order to do that, you need to actively listen. Make sure you fully understand the new task that is being requested. Understand the scope and the level of detail. Figure out how you will do the activity and then you communicate that. In a professional communication, you will first want to agree on the scope of the activity and the kind of a strategy that you will use to comply with the request. And this will enable you to create a realistic expectation on how much time the task will require from you. Based on your experience, try to mentally picture the process that you need to go through. You want to imagine the type of information you need, how long it will take for you to get it, review it, and also prepare and finally deliver the work. Explain which strategy you're planning on using. This part is very important. You'll often be inefficient if you're working with some unnecessary details. This is an important part for those who are meticulous. It turns out that sometimes that additional care is only consuming extra time in an ineffective way. It will stress you out and also make your boss upset because you are delaying to finish the task. And that is why clear communication is paramount. If you want to learn how to communicate better, you can check our course How to Say No, which is a course on communication and emotional intelligence. You can go to arata.se/how to say no. Check out whatever you are already doing. Before making a commitment, you also need to check out which tasks you are already involved with. You don't need to go too much into detail. Be objective, with assertiveness and a professional attitude. No whining, no playing victim, or getting flustered. You must understand that both you and your supervisor want to make the best possible use of the available resources, and for that, it is necessary to keep everything on the table. Explain the dates when you promise to deliver each one of your other projects. In some companies, you work with only one supervisor, but in others, you may be working under more than one supervisor or with multiple departments simultaneously. It's easier if you only got one supervisor because then they know what are the other requests. Then you can tell which one is a priority. If the other things that you're doing have been requested by all the departments, then you have to take a look at how the hierarchy works within your company, because sometimes it's better to have your boss talking directly to the heads of the other departments rather than you trying to juggle everything. Understand your position within the company. There are other situations where you have to have the ability to do some requested activity, but you don't really want to do that. Let's assume that you have to do some not very pleasant work, like going to the other part of town just to get a document. This is not the type of job that you're hired to do, but somebody in your company has to do it because this is the type of thing that it has to be done by someone from your company. In this example, if your supervisor has picked you for that task, well, then you have to understand what is your position in the hierarchy. It is a complete different situation if you are a professional with decades of experience who already paid the price in advance for having given your best when it was necessary, and today you are already at a top position, your hourly rate is very expensive, the company needs you to do very important activities. In that case, it's more likely that you have more negotiation power to refuse doing some types of jobs that you don't really want to do. You have already paid the price to have this type of power on determining the direction of your career. But if you have just graduated, if you're still in a lower hierarchical position, your hourly rate will be lower and you will be forced to accept whatever you have to do. You got little bargaining power. In that case, it will be your choice to carry on working for that particular company, or maybe it would be better for you to find another place to work, depending on the number of these painful tasks that, how often you have to be doing them. If you want, and if you choose to stay in that job, then it's your choice. And you have to accept to keep on doing those things that you don't really enjoy. Understand and accept the realistic consequences. I'm sure some of you are thinking that it's quite naive to believe that you have the ability to say no at work. I know there will be some people arguing in the comments, saying, oh, if I say no, I'm going to be fired. But is that so? Well, think with me. If you're keeping a professional attitude, if you're explaining your availability with respect, clarifying what you're already doing, what are your priorities, the natural outcome is that you will be respected as a serious professional who's trying to make the best possible use of your time. However, if you are acting with a very high level of professionalism and yet your supervisor comes and gives a tantrum and decides to punish you, what does that mean? Well, to me, it's a sign that you're working in the wrong place. Your supervisor is the one lacking professionalism. Your company and your supervisor have to provide you the appropriate resources so that you can do whatever is being required from you. If you're prompted to do something that you can't do, then it is your responsibility to communicate, to explain that in a professional way, of course, what are your limits and what you can do and what you cannot do. It is wrong to receive an impossible request, to stay quiet and simply fail and don't deliver the job on the due date. That would be bad. So let's illustrate that with an example. Imagine that your supervisor has asked you to do a complicated report and deliver it today. However, you also have 2 other reports also due today and you promise to deliver all of them on time. In other words, you are not going to be able to do this 3rd report as well. So it is your responsibility to explain that. So you, together with your supervisor, can determine which one is a top priority. What you shouldn't do is just to be quiet, to work until you collapse and not deliver 3 badly done reports, or just to be working alone and building up anger. You need assertiveness to speak with clarity and professionalism. You're not required to automatically say yes to everything. In fact, that would be lack of professionalism, because sooner or later you will end up failing to deliver what you had promised, or even worse, in order to fulfill your promises you will need to do a lot of overtime, and then you will feel victimized, edgy, you may even collapse. Don't make empty promises. Keep a professional attitude when assessing your different tasks and use good communication to determine the scope of each activity, the available resources, and the realistic delivery time. And to do so, you can visit the website arata.se/how to say no and learn how to develop professional skills for negotiation, communication, and assertiveness with the course How to Say No.